estimate that 14 trillion photos are taken per year. That means each person would have to take 3 photos a day. When we think about it, if 14 trillion photos are taken per year, there must be an infinite amount coming from the past. All this derived from one idea: to capture a moment in time. Every person has at least one photo of themselves. Whether it be from birth or getting caught in the background, there is at least one. But where did this technology come from? A series of scientists have worked on the theory of photography and improving it throughout many of years. This invention has changed the way we see the past, allowing people to be taken back in time to not only see the evolution of photography and technology, but of the world. Photography was created by several different scientists over hundreds of years. Beginning in 1816, inventor Nicephore experimented with photography, although at the time he called it heliography. A physicist by the name of Alhazen discovered the idea of the obscura, which led him to the creation of the first unfinished pinhole camera. Years later, the philosopher Mosey finished the obscura. This process has lasted years, and scientists were eager to find an easier way to work with this invention. In 1859, Thomas Sutton received a patent for the first ever panoramic camera. Built using a water-filled glass sphere as the lens, shockingly, this process took about 8 hours and would fade away depending on the material used. Capturing moments in printing was a growing discovery and evolved for years. In 1885, George Eastman created the Kodak camera, which included paper film that made your pictures last forever. With this done, scientists moved on to more improvements, like size. In 1913, Oscar Barnack invented the Leica, which reduced the size by about half, although the camera was still not transportable. That is until Richard Leach Maddox gave it a try. His invention gave birth to handheld cameras that could produce their own images. In 1948, Edwin Land introduced the Polaroid camera, which allowed photographers to take a photo and print it in mere minutes. As the production of cameras evolved, so did technology. In 1975, Stephen Stasson invented the first self-contained digital camera. Many companies arose from this invention and developed new creative cameras that were to be used anywhere. In the 21st century, the Japanese company Sharp invented the first camera phone. After this, many phone companies, including Apple, developed all across the world. With so many different philosophers and scientists on the case of inventing the camera and perfecting the technology, so many different cameras were made. The first camera, being the pinhole, observed rays of light falling on the walls of a darkened room. Since that invention, cameras have evolved a ton, including the Kodak. It has a digital sensor that was used to capture light. The Reese was the first portable camera, then the Gamma Reflex was brought up, which was the first single-lens reflex camera. Hundreds of different types were being created by this time. The Leica 1 was the first compact camera that packed a 3.5 lens and was able to shoot at 35mm films. A famous company named Canon joined the market in 1936 with their Canon 35mm rangefinder. The company GoPro also had a break with its video camera. Many companies were made from this one invention, including Fujifilm. This company shattered the barrier by inventing the world's first single-use disposable camera. With so many companies working on different models, the cameras got so many new features. In the 1800s, to take a picture, they would use silver chloride, although eventually the image would go all black. Since then, scientists came up with many key qualities to camera. One of these would be the camera lens. A lens is a piece of glass with curved sides for concentrating and dispersing light rays. A camera lens takes all the light rays bouncing around and uses glass to redirect them to a single point, creating a sharp image. If the light does not come to a single point, your image will turn out blurry. A photograph is an image focused onto a film and then chemically fused on the light-sensitive treatment. Many camera qualities had to be created in order to get the perfect picture. Autofocus is a feature on most cameras that automatically focuses on a selected area, making the sharpest image of the picture, or the focal point. With the autofocus is the shutter release. This is the button that takes the picture. When the shutter opens, it exposes the film or sensor. The film is a thin, flexible strip of plastic with light-sensitive motion for exposure in the camera. The exposure is how much light or darkness the image contains, and it can be adjusted. The difference from the first camera to today's is almost mind-blowing. The evolution of cameras has never stopped. It took about 8 hours to take a single photo in the 1800s, and today you can take one in only a second. Photos were only printable and wouldn't last long, but now technology has taken over and photos can last forever. Scientists have been working on the camera for around 200 years, and to this day are still trying to improve it. Imagine if you could soon have the raw power of a DSLR the size of a coin. A designer named Funamizu imagined this and even designed a 3D model of how it might look. We surely have come a long way from the year 1800, but is this the end of the fabulous development? Certainly not. After years of advancement, cameras now have outstanding power, portability, and are filled with features that allow us to shoot a moment and share it with the world in a matter of seconds. Without this invention, we would have only had to read about the past and not get any visual aid of what has happened. The creation of the world is best described through pictures. When we take them today, you can expect years from now, people will be looking at them in awe. So, how are you capturing your life? Yep.
Wait, I can take it off?
What?
I haven't stopped recording it yet.